You are building a business that might have some spiritual underpinnings, but you need to build the business. Good morning, I'm Patty. Let's talk about online businesses. Okay, so here's what I want to talk about today. I want to talk about how there is a huge dichotomy between the wild promises of success that you can read about online from having online businesses and doing things like having webinars or running ads or whatever strategy, and the actual experience that people have. I have been working in the online world for a good amount of time, since 2014-ish. So I've seen a lot. I spent a lot of that time working almost 100% on book launches for traditionally published authors using really traditional online digital marketing tactics. And I also spent about a year. One of my clients she runs a VA agency. So she sold the services and then I would do the work. She had like a whole team of people and I did a lot of the strategic plans. So through that, I saw a lot of businesses and people and what they were doing and what was working and what wasn't. And guess what? Not a lot works. That's the truth. So the reason I wanted to talk about this, or what got me thinking about this today, is I got an email from somebody who I've always really admired in the online space. She does Facebook ad, like training and coaching. She's got programs and apparently now she's doing one-on-one stuff. And the reason I like her is because Facebook ads is one of the biggest areas where you can be bamboozled by experts selling you their promise to make you successful using ads. In her email, she was talking about how her business kind of crashed, for lack of a better word, because she was doing all the things that you're told to do in the online space, which is, automate, go evergreen, don't spend your precious time working one-on-one with clients, leverage everything, pay your team to do the things that you're not an expert at. All the stuff that you've heard about what it takes to be successful in the online space. And the thing is, so in her email, she was talking about how she was doing all the things and she was launching and she was successfully launching, but the cost to launch was so high, she wasn't making any money. She wasn't bringing any money into her house. And ultimately, she started doing one-on-one work again, which is really kind of looked down upon in the coaching side, especially. I work more on the done for you side, so you kind of have to do one-on-one stuff. But when you're teaching versus doing the implementation, there's a lot of focus on getting that system in place. So you are doing leveraged programs, the one-to-many model, where you're doing a group program or a mastermind or whatever, so that you don't hit that income ceiling when you run out of time. That is a serious issue, and I don't have a problem with that. What my problem has always been that there is a real disconnect between the people who are selling something to make money and how they represent what they're selling and how it works in the real world. And one of the biggest pieces of this is the people who are selling programs oftentimes do not make it clear who their program is for. So, and this particularly comes into play when you're talking about a lot of the marketing funnel strategies, like doing a webinar to fill up your program. That's a big one. Or doing a trigger. It's called a tripwire, but creating a funnel where the first thing that is offered to your potential new person is something that they pay for. The idea being that they're going to pay this small dollar amount, like $7 or $47, and then they'll get into your funnel, and then you'll upsell them to your higher price things as they go along. And just to quickly say why that's a problem is it seems really smart, and I actually love this kind of funnel. It's a self-funding funnel where the lower priced item pays for the ads to get people into your funnel, and then you convert them to the higher priced items. So theoretically, you are bringing people into your world with no marketing budget, with no ad outlay, because you're covering the cost of ads with your lower price stuff. In real life, that doesn't work very well for a lot of people who take the quickie courses teaching how to make your tiny product and get it out there. And the reason it doesn't work very well is because in order to get a product-based funnel where you're selling like a lower price product on an automated basis, where you're not doing a sales call with them, in order to get that to work, you need a lot of people going through that funnel. And that takes a lot of ad money, and it takes a lot of momentum. I've had clients who have, and this just feels a little bit unfair, but it's the way it is, but I've had clients who have 100,000 up to 500,000 followers on Facebook, and guess what? Their ad campaigns are awesome. Facebook kind of, I don't know that they favor people with large audiences, but the way the algorithm works, the conversions when you already have critical mass are much less expensive than when you're just starting out. So I've had, countless clients come into my world when they have taken one of these courses for $400 or $200 or $997 to learn how to do these funnels. And then when they try to put it into practice with their untested product and their lack of a platform or a large following, they can't get people to convert, and then they get frustrated. And I totally get that. I thought it was really refreshing to see somebody who I think is a player in the industry talk really frankly in this email this morning about how it doesn't always work, and how sometimes you need to just go back to taking those one-on-one clients, because you know what you need in a business? Cash. You need cash. And that brings me to my second point. Another thing that I have seen a lot with clients and with myself is that, so I work in the online transformational space for the most part. And when I say that, what I mean is that I work with people who have businesses where for the most part, they're sharing their knowledge base in order to make the world better. They're helping people transform. A lot of times, these people are coaches. Sometimes they're actually service providers like therapists or alternative health people. And if the service they're providing can be provided online, either dealing with regulations for therapists and some of the other medical practices, there's rules about where they can see clients and things like that. But as long as they can do things online, the people who are more the service-based practitioners, like therapists, they can do a little bit better online than the coaches. And the reason is they're selling something that's a little bit more easy to explain, and it's a little bit more tangible. A lot of my clients are more coaches that are selling happiness, basically, and that's hard to quantify. The second thing I wanted to say is I've seen a lot, and I've experienced that people get into the online space, they start their online businesses. A lot of times they're focused on making the world better. So they're interested in transformation, and they have a growth mindset, which I love. And they inevitably get to law of attraction. And law of attraction has been very popular the last, it's been very popular the last 2,000 years because it's based in Hermetic philosophy. But as it's kind of taught in the online space right now, law of attraction, my understanding of law of attraction was that, you need to get your vibration up to match the things you want, and it will come to you. That you can manifest. Manifestation is huge. And what happens is, I think what happens for a lot of people is they come from more traditional careers. They've got a subject matter kind of knowledge base. They start their business, and they confuse a spiritual practice and a business. So it's really easy to get very quickly into this place where you're building a business, right? So if you were building a business here, I live in a small town in the Shenandoah Valley in Virginia. So like, let's say I want to open up a shoe store. So I might go and rent a place downtown. So I'd have to get my lease. I'd have to go through the onerous, well, not so onerous, historical review of my signage, get that up on the building. I'd have to get all the fixtures for this stuff. I'd have to get shoes, have products. I'd have to do marketing. I'd have to go and meet all my other business owners. I would have to show up every day and do all these things to build a business, get a website, get some way to bring people into the business. So that needs to happen in an online business too. You need to do all those things, all of them, because that is building a business. Like that, there are critical elements that have to do with the business that are about getting your signage, your product, your inventory, your advertising, your traffic. If I wanted to open up a store, I'd probably want to open it up in our downtown, which is quite busy because it's very historic, and not out on the outskirts because everybody's driving downtown. So like you have to think about traffic and where you were setting up shop. All that stuff applies to online businesses, but what happens a lot is people start their business, then they get into the law of attraction stuff, and then they feel like they can just vibe their way to success. And I'm not saying that a spiritual approach is not important. In fact, I am learning more and more that it is critical to be able to key into your body and your purpose and really embody what you need to be doing in the world. And if you aren't doing that, you're probably not going to be all that successful, which kind of touches on, some law of attraction stuff too, that can't talk about everything today. So my point is that a lot of people, when they start online businesses, they kind of get sort of sidetracked into this going with their energy and their flow, and they neglect building the basics of a business, the stuff that you would build if you were opening up a shoe store downtown. That's just something that I have been thinking about a lot. I get frustrated a lot because my clients come to me frustrated because they are seeing all these other people talk about their success online, and they think that there's something wrong with them because they're doing all the things and they are vibrating at the right level, or at least trying to, and it's not happening for them. They're not getting what they want, and they're not getting success, and they're frustrated. Interesting stuff. So I thought it was really interesting that this person that I admire sent out this email where she was really quite frank about how her experience has been, how she started out doing all the stuff to get leveraged and went to the one-on-one, and her email actually was selling, she's starting a mastermind, which is a little bit more high touch than she's done before. She's been doing group programs. Really got me thinking about this stuff. And also, this is in line with one of my, I'm going to say mentors, but that actually is something I wanted to talk about. I love to study gene keys, which is a new take on the I Ching, on studying the I Ching, and it's a very contemplative practice. And the author of Gene Keys, his name is Richard Rudd. I'm doing a group program this year with one of my actual mentors, because I'm actually paying her to be in the group. I think it's a little bit weird that people are always talking about their mentors. I mean, you can be mentored by anybody, but to me that implies a more personal relationship. And a lot of times when people say mentors, they're talking about people whose books they like to read. They're not actually in a personal mentorship relationship. I mean, maybe it's because I come from corporate and mentorship is very laid out in corporate as to how it works. Anyway, so I am studying somebody this year on Gene Keys. And she was talking the other day about the law of grace, and which made me go to YouTube and find some of what Richard Rudd has said about the law of grace. And I really love this because this has to do with manifestation and law of attraction. I'll find the video and see if I can link it below. But basically what he was talking about is that there's these ideas about manifestation, and that, you need to vibe your way to a better life. And sometimes it seems like law of attraction isn't working. And the reason that might be is because law of attraction is about having the right vibration and kind of matching up with whatever it is you want. But he was talking about the law of grace, which is that we get exactly what we need. So I have been studying a lot lately and thinking a lot about embodying our purpose, which is different than manifestation. Manifestation is just like making a list and saying, okay, I want this, here's my Christmas list, universe, hand it over. And I have personally struggled with that concept because I have a lot of distrust about what I actually want. So I'm like, what is my purpose? How can I manifest my purpose if I don't really know what it is? Which is a really valid question. And I think it's a lifelong project to understand your purpose and really be in touch with that. And it's very easy to get distracted by the ego and by what in human design, which is another system I study, is called the not self. And so the not self is basically our minds getting all up in our business and overthinking everything and telling us that we should do this and we should do that. It's that problem with shoulds. The problem with shoulds. Should is a word that maybe needs to be looked at in our vocabulary, because we should what? What does that even mean? That's a little bit, you're putting pressure on yourself to be in a place where you might be in the perfect place already. So let go of the shoulds. So the law of grace is about knowing that we are going to get exactly what we need in the moment that we need it. And I believe that's true. I believe that's true for me. And I believe a lot of times what I need is not what my brain thinks I need. My brain wants to do other things. So these few concepts this week are really coming together for me. This idea that we need to, instead of trying to make our Christmas list, our wish list, our, hey universe, give me this list, we need to really be focused on what our purpose is and how we're embodying that. And then that can be reflected in our businesses, but our business isn't going to be built by just vibing and making our lists, our manifestation lists. We need to also be really in touch with what we need in business. So to get back to the problem with the online business marketing engine, it can be really intense. This pressure to leverage, this idea, like if you just scroll through Instagram and Facebook, you would think that everybody's a success except for you. And that is not true. People are selling a process that worked for them and they're leaving everything else out. So I wanted to include some more practical tips on how to identify this stuff and what to look for. So let me give you a really good example. There is a program that was in heavy marketing rotation a couple of months ago, a year ago. I don't know if she's still selling it, and I don't want to really get into the actual program and who it was and everything, but she was selling this concept. So the concept she was selling was to create a small product, informational product that cost around $50, and to use that to fund your business. The marketing was really strong. I read it and I was like, this is, I can see why everybody wants to do this. It's like, put in some work, take your knowledge base, create a short, whatever, informational piece. It wasn't really even a course idea she was selling. It was more of an informational piece that you sell for a small amount of money. And then you can use that to fund your funnel. Like, that sounds awesome, right? Well, I had a client come in and she'd taken the course. She had all the notes, all the templates, everything. She had no platform, like no followers. And she was creating a program that had to do with, it was something in the Christian market. It was it was learning how to do a really active contemplative prayer kind of method. And so a pretty niche down product, something that might be actually, if you're in the Christian market, like if your audience is evangelical or Christian, that can do really well on Facebook. That's one of the markets that does well on Facebook. So it wasn't crazy that she was doing this, but it was completely untested. She was creating this program on how to do this active prayer, and she had never sold it before. So she had done some work in it. Like I think she had, I don't even know if she had any testimonials, but it was really an untested product and she had no platform. So she came to us because what she wanted was for us to build out the technical background, like build out the actual product. And I think she had Kartra. And then she wanted us to run the ads because she's like, I don't know how to run ads. And she had these crazy goals. And I can't get into the math of funnels today, but I will, because that's like one of my favorite things to talk about. But she wanted to get something like 100 people to purchase in like a month. And just to quickly illustrate what I'm trying to talk about, if you want 100 people to purchase your thing, you need to usually 1%, 1 to 10% of the people who see your offer will purchase. So if you want 100 people, do the math and see how many people you need to like even show interest in this thing. And it gets really exponential. So there was basically like no way, I knew there was no way that she was going to hit her goals. And I was very frustrated because she had spent the money on this program and she thought this was going to turn her around, that she had gotten the magic answer for getting some cash into her business. And so I got to see behind the scenes of this program that was being sold and had such strong marketing, and this program that she'd purchased had so many testimonials. And so it seemed really good, but when you purchased it, you saw that the program was actually just to teach you how to create the product. And that the creator had other programs that had to do with creating the traffic that you need to sell the product. So you can see when you're purchasing something, especially if you're not familiar with marketing and online marketing, if you're more of the thought leader who doesn't work behind the scenes, a lot of times the programs seem like they are the answer, but they're only part of the answer. Like certainly learning how to put together a good small offer that you can sell for that price point, that's really good information, but it's not going to get you money in the bank unless you have the other parts, which include, building the funnel to get the traffic. And then those are the two big ones, the funnel and the product. And she was only teaching one thing. So when you are looking at purchasing a program, really look at what they're teaching and don't assume anything. I had another client who was considering purchasing a program recently, and I sat in on one of the sales calls. And again, this was a program that was teaching a course, like how to make your money from creating a course. Super popular right now. There's some people who are doing lots of work in it. Most of it is bogus, in my opinion. And their whole model was to get cash flow by building a course and then getting traffic into the course using Facebook ads. And my client specifically asked, well, how does the support with Facebook ads work? And really all they had were some templates for some Facebook ads, which if you know anything about advertising, templates are great, but they are not going to teach you how, there's a lot to Facebook ads. And so selling a course to a new person with little technical expertise, promising wild cash flow just from creating a course, but not including any real support for the ads that are going to get you the traffic to sell that course, I think that's irresponsible. I think that people need to be more clear in their marketing, because the people that they're marketing to, unless you are already in the online digital world and understand all these different elements of a sales campaign and a marketing campaign, it is not easy to understand even what might be missing from the program. So that's something to look at when you're looking at purchasing. Really pay attention to what they are teaching and try to make sure or be aware that for most tactics, there's going to be an element of leads. You know, the core of marketing is generating leads, and these are people who might buy your program. So there needs to be an element of leads, like where's the pool of people that are going to purchase the thing that you're going to sell. And then there needs to be the product. That's another thing that's huge with a lot of the vibing, law of attraction, you know, work in your brilliance kind of talk. People tend to just create content because they have a passion about it, but they don't test it. And oftentimes, one of the biggest issues I've seen with clients who aren't able to fill their programs, it's because they've created this passion project from their heart, but nobody wants to purchase it. So there's a lot in product development that's really important that you need to understand. Just because you make something doesn't mean people are going to come. There's that, I don't know how many times I've said this to clients, if you build it, they will come. It will work, that idea. It just might take longer if you haven't done the market research to develop a product that's wanted and also develop the message around that product to help people who need it know that they need it. So a lot of times the product might be fine, you just don't have a really good marketing message, or you haven't done the work to really identify your audience or stuff like that. So when you're looking at a program, you need to understand where are those leads coming from, and you need to understand that there are going to be a lot of leads. Like for every one purchase, you probably are going to need 100 people that are going to see your offer. So keep that in mind, especially when you're doing, like, I'll do a different session on webinar math and how those conversion rates work. And so make sure you know where the traffic is coming from. Make sure that in the program, they're not talking about something that you don't know how to do. So like if there's any mention of ads, get a real understanding of how ads are being used or suggested to be used in the program and how much you need to know about that. And if you do know that, and then make sure that there's an element about the product and making sure that you have good product development. And then there's all the pieces that tie together, like setting up the website and the cart and the email funnel and the email chains and all of that stuff. That's all stuff that you can actually figure out. You don't have to do that part perfect. It just, especially when you're starting out, you just need to get their email address and figure out how to take their money and figure out how to deliver the product. A lot of that can be done super easy. So those are all things to keep in mind. I'm going to put on my lipstick now. Okay, that was just lip liner. Now I'm putting on my lipstick. So just to recap, and I want to be clear, I'm not down on manifestation. I love law of attraction. I'm going to share one of my favorite teachers who is a mentor that I've worked with below. I'm just saying that law of attraction and manifestation is not about just making your Christmas list and sending it off to you, the universe. It is coupling a deep understanding of your purpose and learning to reflect that in the life that you're building. And if you're using a business to build your life, that's awesome. That's what I'm doing. But understand too, point two, that you are building a business that might have some spiritual underpinnings, but you need to build the business. Now, as I continue to work with clients, I actually am very deep into the spiritual side. And I do think it's like that old adage, I think it was Roosevelt or one of our presidents or some general who's like, the plans are only good through the first step and then you need to redo them. I'm going to look that up and put that down below. I know the thing I'm trying to think of. So I think it's good to know the structure, and I think it's good to know best practices. And then once you understand that, play with it. Like, guys, Picasso, he was an excellent realistic artist if he wanted to be, but he worked in Cubism. He didn't just start drawing crazy stuff and say, hey, I'm an artist. He was trained. So you need to do that too. Understand how to run a business, and then take those concepts and use what works for you and what doesn't. And then the final thing is, if you are purchasing a course or any other informational product, be hyper aware of what you're purchasing and don't assume that it is going to provide the results that are being talked about because you might not be in the same place in your business as the person who's selling it. Like most of the ad campaign things, like ad programs that are being sold, those are more appropriate for larger businesses. Especially, I see this a lot. People will talk about how ad retargeting is the holy grail to advertising, and that's true. Retargeting is when, like, I go to the Anthropology website and then I start seeing Anthropology ads. Those are retargeted ads. And yeah, that totally works great, but that is appropriate for somebody with a very large ad budget, like thousands of dollars a month. So if you're excited to learn about retargeting, but you're not in the place where you're going to spend a couple $1,000s a month in ads, then that probably isn't a program for you. So I am going to include down below some of my favorite teachers and mentors with a lot of these things, with sales, law of attraction, human design, Gene Keys, Facebook ads, course creation. Some of the programs are a little bit more pricey, but these are people who I trust. And in lots of places, it's women and men. I tend to follow women a little bit more. These women are building the future of the online business community, or at least the future that I want to be part of. They have a really pure, noble vision, and they are not going to go down the path that I often see with some of the more high pressure bro marketing. That's what we call it all the time. The endless sales pages and upsells and downsells. Those are all strategies that work, but the high pressure is something that not everybody aligns with. I certainly don't. So I hope that's helpful. If it was, go ahead and hit subscribe, and I will be back and talking more about these things in the online business world and my experience and what works and what doesn't and what to watch for. And I hope you have an excellent day. Thanks.